She who inspired me for the work of the Fellowship of Isis with others came to me at night in 1946 at Imbolc, about February the 1st. I associate it with snow because she came at midnight in the snow, as Brigid came to me in the year 2000 at the time of the summer solstice at midnight with the sun. This lady came with the aura of stars and moon. She told me to get out of bed, which I did reluctantly because of the bitter cold, and I put on my red cardigan. Now I guess that she wished me to know that she was real. I was only 29 then, and I'm not used to this sort of thing, never had it before. I was just ordinary Protestant, you know. She was made of crystallized white light, her hair raven black. Her dress was cut in V-shapes of different cloths, violet and blue-green. I knew that they were blended together in some way, not sewn. Her hair, too, looked curiously modern. I don't know quite why. Sort of nothing ancient. She unwound a white scarf, which was like lace. Her face had delicate features, like a woman in a Persian miniature. But it was her mind that made me realize I was in the presence of a goddess. Now, how would I know? Well, I had during my life as a girl met various famous people, Yeats, Schrödinger, the great physicist, I don't know, you name them. I was introduced to them, my parents did, as a child, and none of them impressed me at all particularly as being unusual. But this was of a different order. I want to emphasize this. This lady had a mind like I'd never met. The aura was totally different from human. She told me to sit, and she sat facing me, and I was overcome, and I was trying to control my thoughts. Now, this is the extraordinary thing. I can't remember one word of our half-hour's conversation, so I believe I was not meant to remember that I was to act from my own will in helping to found the fellowship and all I've done. Yet this has influenced me all my life as a sort of undercurrent through dreams. My own feeble telepathic abilities were as nothing in comparison with the clarity and power of her thought stream. This was the first goddess who has come to me. The visits are very rare occurrence, with years in between. I knew then she belonged to a more spiritual and wise race of being. Yet these beings, because they were more spiritual and wise, loved those who are not, helping us all to grow up. None of this horrible arrogance you get in people who go around thinking they're goddesses or I don't know what. The very arrogance and assumption of importance shows they're not important. In that sense, they need to come down to earth. And I always say that to myself, too. You know, I make one mistake every day, at least, and I'm no better than anybody else. We're all the same. Especially with a cat teaches you that. At the close of our communion, she rose, and I thought, thinking at the time, she has the dignity of a queen, the grace of a ballet dancer, and the power of a gymnast. At that date I had not heard of UFOs, so could not make out at all what was this small plane she was expecting for. She was expecting a small plane, and she had to wait for it, goddess or no goddess. She jolly well waited. And above all, what was the giant ship in the sky that I knew that the plane would take her to? I gathered it was big, or bigger than the Queen Mary liner. That's all I could think of bigness. And so imagine, to me, it was incredible to think of something like that up there. I only got a glimpse of it when I saw a drawing of the huge mothership seen by Clive Tombaugh, the American astronaut who first discovered the planet Pluto. What was her influence on me? It always seemed to be to fight for what was true and good and not to be put down. A year or so later I had a vision of the Silver Lady, as I called her. Now, it's interesting that we in my religion, Protestantism, had no Virgin Mary, and she always seemed to be meek and obeying her son, being always inferior to him, because he was a god and she wasn't. They always carefully explained to me, Catholics, that I mustn't think that they worshipped her like a goddess. I wondered why not, but I accepted they didn't, and we didn't, certainly. So I was sort of taken aback by this, because she really was a goddess. Yet could have manifested in human form as Mary, I don't know. But she appeared in a wretched slum dwelling with an African family in utter poverty, and this was in Dublin. I knew the Dublin slums because I worked there for 4 years. What struck me was her power. She wasn't going on her knees praying to her Heavenly Father to do something. She stood straight and slim and raised her right arm in command. Her left arm she gestured downwards in utter dismissal of such conditions. It reminded me of the figure of Christ in Michelangelo's Last Judgment. It was a call to action. That was at the back of my mind, I think, when I helped my brother Lawrence and his wife Pamela, when we created the Clonigor Welfare Association in 1963, where we found that most of the people living in round our comfortable castle were below poverty level, this in our new republic. It only got better when they moved, oddly enough, from local to national government, who had more resources, but the people actually living without enough to eat all around us. We visited 400 families. I thought this must be the spiritual work I was meant to be doing. I didn't know of anything else. So that went on until we came to the conclusion my brother was visited by the goddess and my sister-in-law had spiritual experiences, and we decided to get together and do something, get guided. We had to be guided, have a vocation. And so we started many orders, including an environmental order. And I chose this lady as the patron goddess of our project of an order of Tara to help environment in the fellowship. And Tara, I chose the name, it was the Egyptian Tower, T-A-U-R, holder of the tablets of fate, Torah of the Bible, Taro of the lost books of Thoth of Egypt, and the Irish goddess of hills, T or Tara. So I thought that all over the world, this concept of stars and mountains. The goddess Tara Buddhism is the only bodhisattva goddess who incarnates to save humanity, but refused to change into a man to attain enlightenment. Extraordinary. In fact, her descent to earth occurred before Buddhism, when she was extremely active, like Kali and Durga and Nukua, the dragon goddess. She was a rescuing goddess and destroyer of evil. Not evil people, but evil sort of muck that one throws around. Some months after we'd founded the Order of Tara to help with the environment, I had an extraordinary experience that introduced the god. He'd been rather left out. In vision, I found myself at night down in our temple of Isis. A male being appeared made of crystallized white light. It was very powerful, this light. It's more like a power flow they all have. We radiated divine youth and happiness and love. It was really lovely, but extraordinary. They all seem to be much on a quicker vibration to us, a very speedy vibration. So extreme that I experienced it in 2 locations in full consciousness, in the Temple Chapel of Healing, and at the same time in my earthly body, lying in bed. I was given the name of the being, Michael, the Archangel Michael, or Horus, the son of Isis and Osiris. And I was fascinated. He had the power of cloning himself, producing a whole order of beings round him. From then on, this curious lightning flash of Isis became part of our initiations. I'd received a vision of Dana, and through her FOI Druid clan of Dana, she awakened the heart chakra, blissful love and happiness, a warm glow within. And how can you live without love? This was different from the lightning flash. It's a golden glow that awakens in your whole body. So therefore, I think that however high we aim at getting high spiritual beings, without grounding, without earth, without warm, kindly love for individuals, not some vague ideal, is necessary.